The loss of an artist, particularly in the music industry, leaves a significant impact not only on their fans but also on their peers. Tragically, the music world has seen the untimely deaths of many rappers, with over 50% of these deaths attributed to murder. Here's a look at some of the most notable rappers who were killed and the circumstances surrounding their deaths. Nipsey Hussle. On March 31, 2019, Nipsey Hussle was outside his Marathon clothing store in the Hyde Park area of Los Angeles, engaging with fans and signing autographs. During this time, he had an encounter with Eric Holder, who was allegedly called out by Hussle for being a snitch. Holder, who was offended by this accusation, left but returned shortly after with 2 guns. He shot Hussle over 10 times and kicked him in the head before fleeing the scene. Hussle was rushed to the hospital but was declared dead. Holder was later charged with murder, attempted murder, and assault with a firearm, though he pleaded not guilty. Soulja Slim. James Tapp, known as Soulja Slim, was a rapper from New Orleans who made a name for himself in the early 2000s. After spending time in prison, he refocused on his career, but in November 2003, his life was tragically cut short. While hanging out on the front lawn of his newly purchased home, Soulja Slim was approached by Garrell Smith, who shot him 4 times with a stolen gun. The shooting was believed to be the result of a feud related to a rival record label, though the person who ordered the hit remains unknown. Soulja Slim's death shocked the hip-hop world. Young Greatness. Young Greatness, a rapper from New Orleans, was best known for his 2015 hit Moolah, which charted on the Billboard Hot 100. After Hurricane Katrina, he moved to Houston, but in October 2018, he returned to New Orleans for his grandmother's funeral. On the night of October 29th, he was confronted by 3 men who attempted to steal his car in a Waffle House parking lot. In the process, Young Greatness was fatally shot. The 3 men were later arrested and charged with second-degree murder, armed robbery, and obstruction of justice. Veno Ghana. St. Louis rapper Veno Ghana's death wasn't tied to gang violence or rapper rivalries but rather an attempt to protect his niece. In January 2019, Ghana was called to assist his niece, who was being harassed by a man outside a convenience store. The confrontation escalated, and the man, Chris Rainey, pulled out a gun and shot into the air. Ghana attempted to back away, but Rainey shot him in the chest. Ghana collapsed nearby and was pronounced dead at the hospital. Ebe Bands. William Pickering, known as Ebe Bands, was a 23-year-old rapper from Rockford, Illinois. In May 2019, his body was found weeks after being reported missing. Investigators discovered he had been beaten to death with a baseball bat before his body was set on fire and disposed of in a wooded area. 2 men, William Arzotti and Manuel Ramirez, were arrested and charged with murder. A 3rd suspect, Dakota Graff, was also charged later. The reason for the killing remains unclear. Hussein Fatal. Hussein Fatal, a member of the hip-hop group Outlaws and collaborator with Tupac Shakur, died under tragic circumstances on July 10, 2015. Fatal was a passenger in a car driven by his girlfriend, Zanetta Yerby, who was driving under the influence in Banks County, Georgia. The car crashed, killing Hussein Fatal instantly. Yerby was charged with DUI, vehicular homicide, and reckless driving. Lil Lonni. Lil Lonni, a rapper from Jackson, Mississippi, was known for his light-hearted and helpful nature. At just 22 years old, his life was tragically taken in April 2018. While driving his SUV around the city, Lil Lonni was shot at multiple times, causing his car to crash into a house. Unfortunately, he did not survive the attack. The suspects, Marzhan Carr, Antoine Carr, and Monia Davis, were arrested and charged with murder, though the motive for the shooting remains unclear. Gangsta Delicious. The story of Gangsta Delicious, born Zoe Dowdell, is unique because his death was caused not by street criminals but by the very officers tasked with upholding the law. Dowdell, a 20-year-old rapper, and 2 teenagers were involved in a series of carjackings in New Britain, Connecticut, in 2017. When the police attempted to pull over their car, it fled the scene, crashing into several other vehicles. As the car tried to escape, the police opened fire, with 28 shots fired at the vehicle. Gangsta Delicious was hit 4 times and later died in the hospital. The officers were cleared of wrongdoing after an investigation. Magnolia Shorty. Magnolia Shorty, a rising star from New Orleans, was shot and killed on the evening of November 20, 2010, at the age of 28. While entering her apartment complex, Shorty was blocked in by another vehicle, and 2 men opened fire on her car, shooting 26 times. Both she and her passenger, Jerome Hampton, were killed. Gregory Stewart, a gang member, confessed to his involvement in the shooting, and 2 others, McCoy Walker and Terrios Auni, were later convicted in 2014. The murder was believed to be tied to gang rivalry. XXXTentacion. XXXTentacion, one of the most influential rappers of recent years, was shot and killed on June 18, 2018, in a robbery that shocked the hip-hop community. The rapper had just withdrawn money from a bank and was leaving a motorsports store in Florida when he was ambushed. 2 men, Dedrick Williams and Robert Allen, followed him into the store and waited for him to leave. As he got into his car, they blocked his vehicle and demanded money and valuables. During a struggle, the rapper was shot multiple times in the neck, and the killers stole a bag full of money. They later fled the scene and were charged with first-degree murder and robbery. The tragic deaths of these rappers highlight the harsh realities of violence and betrayal in the world of hip-hop. Whether due to personal rivalries, random violence, or gang-related issues, the impact of their deaths reverberates throughout the music industry, leaving fans and fellow artists to mourn the loss of their talents and legacies.